This is Keke. Hello, loves. Keke here. Back at it again, and today we are going on a journey, a music journey. From EP to album, the stories we will tell, they are all coming up, baby. And the process of developing your voice, the sampling of different styles, different thoughts, and everything in between. Today on the show, I'm joined by actress and singer Reneé Rapp, who just released her debut album this month, as well as my mama Sharon, who has always been with me since day one in music and acting and life and beyond. Cue that music because, baby, we about to get into it. Mom, girl, it is just so good to cut up with you.
Hello, how are you? How's Leo?
Leo is good, girl. And I'm just so excited to talk to you about the topic of music because the kids don't know. You was a number one best-selling artist in our house, honey. My mom, Sharon, you guys, back in the day, she used to go by this name called Shayla. Okay, her name is Sharon, but back in the day when she was an artist, it was Shayla. Okay, she had little blonde streaks in her hair, and her music is so good. She's such a fierce writer and always was able to be so vulnerable on her tracks. And I just remember going to the studio with her when I was a kid and just always hearing her sing in church. My mom was so good, other churches would actually pay her to come sing at their church. So she would sing in the choir at our church, and then she'd be like, I'm on the way to the next, to this other church. And I would beg her to take me, and sometimes she would. And I would sit up in the high pews while she would bust it down in somebody's choir. Do you remember that, Mom?
I do. I definitely did. And, I was a church girl. I grew up singing in the church. I grew up being in the choir. I remember doing my first solo when I was like about maybe 5 or 6 years old. And, that was my background. And I, when you were little, I used to take you to the studio. You were that kid that I would sit on the floor of the studio with the coloring book. And you, and you'd be sitting there coloring while I was singing. Yeah.
I had so much fun, and what was just so cool about it, obviously, when you're a kid, whatever your parent does, you don't know that it's necessarily specific to your parents. So even though I just never thought about other people's parents and what they did, I just knew that my mom was an artist, and it really was so cool to see you just do that and live that. And obviously, I'm sure that's what inspired me, for music to be my first love. A lot of people, I think most of my fans know that music is kind of what started my career in entertainment, but it came from you. And so today I want to talk about music. I want to talk a little bit about the music industry, but ultimately just about what has changed with music and what has always drawn you to music. Why was music your first love?
Well, I think music was my first love because it helps document all the many times of your life. Like I remember what the hit song was the year your dad and I were planning our wedding. It was Keith Sweat. I wanna, yep, I want that, baby. So you remember that. You're like, I remember that song. And I remember when when he proposed to me, it was a song by Angela Bofield. Oh, friend, it's so nice to see you hold me again. So I think music. Yeah, I think music is just cool because it documents our lives in a way that's just magical.
I totally agree. And what I loved, when I think about the reason why I fell in love with music first in my life, I think would be the reason why I fell in love with music was because I watched how you made people feel when you sang. Growing up in the church, obviously there's a choir, and I grew up Catholic, but you would have thought I was Baptist the way that our choir would be throwing down. Okay, first of all, anybody in Illinois knows we have a huge Polish community. It might as well be Poland number 2. Like, we have so many amazing influences from that culture. And so I grew up with a lot of Polish people, and the pianist at our church was Polish. Her name was Mary Sabluski. And I will never forget her coming in and saying, we have to update these Catholic songs. Have you guys seen a movie called Sister Act 2? I need y'all to go home and watch it. And next thing you know, the next day we in church, holy, holy, lonely. We were going up. And so I grew up in a very just I mean, my church, St. Peter Claver, hands down, the best church ever. I'm so grateful to have had that community. And I
Yes.
remember
Yeah.
people would come all over town and have family visit, and they would come to hear Sharon sing. And I think that was pretty much my mom her whole life. I mean, I remember when she was a kid going to church with her mom, and my grandmother. Honey, my grandmother was always trying to brag, and she would always say, Sharon, get out there and sing. So my mom was always being put on front street to show
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
singing voice.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like as a kid, like this protege or phenom
Right.
talent. And by the time I became a teenager, I really resisted that. I really hated, you
What?
know, I hated for people to say, sing that song for me. I don't know. I just think it was some
Well, that's
crazy
messed up because
kid.
I was just going to ask you to give a little bit of Inseparable, but maybe it's too much right now.
Well,
Mom,
your dad always wants me to sing that in karaoke. So,
it is so
yeah.
good. Inseparable. Mom, you
Doom,
blow down on
doom,
that.
doom, doom. We will always be inseparable, you and me. It's so wonderful to know you'll always be around me.
Mom, I thought that was your song. I was like, Mom, sing your song Inseparable because you make it sound like it is your song. But anyway, I say all that to say that when I was in church and I would see how people would respond to you singing, it's like
Yeah,
something ignited in me. Some type of
yeah,
magic ignited in me that made me just start singing. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, no one
yeah.
knows how you have the gift of singing. It's just a raw thing that happens. I mean, I guess you can go to school for it, but most of the time, people discover that they can sing in random scenarios where they just all of a sudden can sing. And for me,
Right.
it was in the church, hearing my mom sing, and wanting to make people feel the way that you've made me feel and other people feel all my life. Even though you maybe don't have a notable name in that regard, your voice and the heart you put in music is so impactful. And so I want to talk kind of about that. Like, it's so interesting, right? Because we have people in the music industry that we know and that we love, right? Like we think about some of the best vocalists, Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Beyonce,
Whitney
John
Houston.
Legend, Whitney
Yeah.
Houston. Okay, obviously Whitney Houston, but what does it take, right? Because there are a lot of people that could sing. What do you think it takes in music that stops us from hearing some of the greatest voices in the world? What's the difference between someone that's singing in church or someone that's singing in their neighborhood parking lot and somebody that becomes Whitney Houston?
Okay. So obviously I've given this a lot of
You
thought.
was ready. You was ready. She said, "Okay."
I've given this a lot of thought because I mean it's a great question, and it's actually a question that many people ask themselves in the
hmm
entertainment business. Like, what do I have to do to be where Whitney was, or
Because I think
do
the
what's
assumption, what I'm trying to
yeah.
pull out, is that the assumption is, I think people have, is that you just got to be talented, and that's just not true,
No, you
unfortunately.
have to be talented. You have to have good fortune. You have to have the moment. Sometimes it's just about a moment, right?
hmm
And also you have to have discipline. You know, and you above all, I think you have to have patience because with the music business, at least my experience has been, is that it's all timing, and you only lose if you get off the road. It
Mm.
meaning you just got to keep putting music out. You have to keep recording. You have to keep building your fan base. It's not a short road. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
I love what you said about that because I mean, obviously we're talking about music here, but I think that's true across the board with anything in life. But I think
Yeah.
it's harder with, I think it can be harder with things. I mean, I guess everybody's passionate about everything, but there's something that makes music so vulnerable because I think it feels so you, right? Like with acting
Yeah.
for me,
Mhm.
and obviously I know you've acted, Mom, and you did speech and all that stuff. It's a different feeling, right? Because you're a different
Yeah.
character. So if somebody doesn't
Yes.
like that, then it's like, okay, you didn't like my character. Who
Right.
cares? That was the character. That wasn't me. With
Yeah.
music, when it's hard to experience, even when you put your music out, it's kind of like you're sharing a piece of yourself. And so it's like
Right.
this vulnerability that I think, that makes also sticking to music at times as an artist so
Yeah.
difficult, because it's like you keep bearing your soul, and then the metrics of what makes it good are based off of things that are sometimes out of your control, like
Yeah.
distribution.
Exactly. Not only distribution, but like when you put a record together or you put an album together, you have to appease so many people. You know, you have so many
Mm-hmm.
different departments. You have the A&R department. You have the
And you're talking
the
about a
head of
label
the
system.
company. You have the marketing people. You have
Mm.
and you really need all of those people to be on the same page.
Whew.
um oftentimes, and you and I have gone through this through many labels, several major labels,
Yeah.
and what happens is you record all this music, and on a Tuesday somebody is saying, oh my god, that's a hit song, and then the
Mm-hmm.
next Tuesday they're going, not so much. I played it for Pookie and them, and Pookie and them didn't like it. And so we need a new song. And you're scratching your head going, who the hell is Pookie and them?
Like who Pookie in them, so I can come whoop
Yeah,
their ass. No, but legitimately, I think this is so valid with the label system. And guys, if you want to hear more, Sharon and I speak on that. We did a show on Key TV Network. If you go to YouTube and go to Key TV, you'll see the series Unlabeled, and we kind of talk about my road
yeah,
of becoming an a unlabeled artist, and kind of just being an independent talent in that regard, and putting my own music out there. Because yes, the label systems, it can be a lot, because it's just a corporation. You're trying to work through a corporation, and it's a system that's been going on for years. So trying to change it is difficult, and trying to force fit the customization that is you as an artist into that system is like, it's so difficult to do. Anyway, okay, who's your favorite artist of all time?
my favorite artist of all time. Oh my God, that's a tough one. But I would have to say Prince. I
Mm-hmm.
would
I knew
say
you was gonna
I would
say
say
that.
Prince, and I would say Michael Jackson is a close second. And the reason why I would give Prince
Mine
the
is
edge,
Michael and Whitney.
yeah, I would have to say all three of those, but I would give Prince the edge because he was just such a masterful uh musician. He could
Yeah, I
play
mean, and
like
he could actually compose. I mean, that's no disrespect. All artists are different, but I do think it's pretty
yeah.
impressive that he could play so many instruments. That's definitely amazing.
Yeah, but my best album of all time is Off the Wall. Michael
Oh
Jackson got me
yes,
working, working day and night.
great album. My favorite album of all time is Brandy Full Moon.
Yes, I like that one.
Bye. She was like this. Bye.
I like Brandy's first album
Yes.
too.
Ooh.
I also like
Yeah.
her first
I mean,
album too.
I would like to get to know it could be. Woo. That kind
The
of got
girl
it.
you were
Woo.
there
I
for.
mean, just absolutely everything. So, who would you say was the best songwriter of your generation?
Oh my goodness,
I
the
know.
best.
I really busted it
You
out
to
right
me,
there.
I gotta answer. I gotta answer. You
I'm
might
ready.
don't know who they are.
What?
You
Who's
might not know who these people are.
who?
But to me, some of the greatest songwriters that I grew up to was Hall and Oates.
Okay.
Because your kiss is on my list. Because your kiss, I can't resist. Because your kiss is on my list. Where the rest of it go? I can't even remember the lyrics.
Okay, so I think there's two. I'll say Esther Dean. I think she's really an incredible songwriter. She's also an artist, but I really think that she made some really big pop hits, and really
Yeah,
just like, I don't know, she had such an incredible consistency of just the combination of things, right? Being able to come, just, how she put things together.
right.
I think, like, obviously, like Jermaine Dupri, Mariah Carey, incredible. Jermaine Dupri, I think he's so incredible. Like, I mean, everybody knows it, but I think he's one of those people that's been doing it for so long that sometimes people just forget how brilliant he is.
Yeah.
Or not even forget, but just like we're so used to being like, oh yeah, Jermaine Dupri, obviously, JD. And then I'm gonna say Taylor Swift. Incredible writer, great songwriter. I mean, it's all about the lyrics. It's all about the story you're telling. It's all about, just, I mean, it's just I live for that, you know what I mean? Because when I'm listening to a song, I really listen. I mean, I think Frank Ocean's incredible. Like his music is so good when you listen to what he's
Yeah, I
saying. Frank is
agree.
insane.
I agree with you, but going back to my generation, and these people may not be my generation, but my mother used to play a lot of country and western music. She came from
Oh,
Memphis.
Smokey Robinson. He's not my generation, but Smokey Robinson.
No, Smokey is great,
He's an
but
incredible songwriter.
Dolly Parton is a good songwriter.
Incredible. She's also an incredible songwriter. I mean, it's so. I mean, what do you think makes a good song, right? Because here's the thing: do you think it's the lyrics, or do you think it's the arrangement?
I think
Because
it's
I
both.
Will Always Love You, the lyrics have always been the same, and it was already a popular record when Dolly first had put it out.
Yeah,
However, when it was rearranged for The Bodyguard for Whitney Houston, it became an entirely different beast.
yeah. I think both. I honestly do. I think it's both. What makes a great song to me is a song where people can sing it back. Like
Mm.
it's simple, with a great simple hook that resonates. And if people can sing the hook back at you, I think
Mm-hmm.
you got a good chance of having a hit song, you know?
And I think,
Um,
like you said, like hit songs and hit albums, I think all that stuff also is a part of a story. Like, you know, and again, what is a hit, right? I mean, we know what a hit is, obviously, on paper. A hit is like if your shit's going gold or diamond, period.
right, right.
But I think there are certain records that define and certain albums that define artists, and you maybe wouldn't have expected it, but what was happening at the time and when it was coming out, it all tells a unique story. And I think that's the thing with creating an album, because for me, I always feel like I stumble upon something. Like with Big Boss, I didn't go in being like Big Boss is the album, you know what I mean? But that was the
Right.
energy and that was the sentiment. And then the records that I created not only captured what I was feeling in the time when I was creating it, but I was also continuing to blossom into, you know, the existing and the confident space that is being a big boss. Like even as time went to pass, as I started to
Yeah.
actually put it out, because obviously there's the living with it, having it, and the place that you're in when you're creating it, and then there's the, oh, my album is out now, am I still there?
Right, right. Well, I just love watching it because to me, it seems like music, the business of music, has always been a source of anxiety for you. And you've always been a
Mm-hmm.
creative and love music, but when the business comes in and the whole bickering over what's the first song to release and all of that drama, you kind of shut down. But for Big Boss, I saw you brighten up. I saw you have the best time of your life putting Big Boss together. I saw you um just having fun, just having fucking fun. And I just loved it for
And
you.
that's what it's got to be, and that's what it's got
Yeah,
to be. I'm happy to hear you say that, because I think it took many years for me to get back there, you know. And now when I look back and see just how far I've come, it's just like I think everything had to happen for a reason. You know what I mean? For me to get to this point of Big Boss, it all makes so much sense, and I can't wait for the next. You know, obviously I'm living in this space and living in this moment, and I'm enjoying it. But
right.
also, I'm so excited to see what this next chapter is for me, and what is this new story that I'm walking into. You know, with myself as an artist. You know.
Same. I'm looking forward to seeing it as well. I know your fans are looking forward to seeing it. And just have fun. That's all I can say to you. Being a former artist,
Mom, you never stop being an artist. That never leaves you. You're always an
well, yeah, well,
artist.
just have fun. That's what I want you to do. I want you to continue to have fun, continue to live your life and do you, and just have fun. Because if it's stressing you out and it's a point of misery for you, then don't do it. I don't recommend anybody do something that causes them, stress. So yeah,
Thanks, Mom. Well, I love you, and you're always the
love you.
best to talk to. But now I gotta get into this conversation with my girl, Renee Rapp.
Baby, this is Keke.
All right. So, you know, this week we are talking all about what goes into making an album, music, you know, all of this, which is a topic that I could talk about forever. Now, everyone has their own process and way of creating their art, so I can't wait to hear what my guest has to say about her own musical process. Now, you may know her as Regina from Mean Girls the Musical, or as Layton, one of my favorites, in the HBO Max series Sex Lives of College Girls. I love that show. But please welcome to the show the talented Reneé Rapp. Hey, girl.
Hi, babe. How are you?
I'm so good. Reneé, welcome to the show. Okay, I have loved watching your career over the past few years, and I'm just excited to finally meet you and talk to you because I feel like we have a lot in common. I mean, how's life going?
Life is good. Life is good. Life is fine, actually, right now. Life is a lot, but it's good. No, I also like hearing that we have a lot in common from you is probably the hottest thing that anyone's ever said to me. So,
Yes, let's get hot, bitch.
yeah.
I mean, well, you've accomplished a lot. I mean, you're only 23 years old, and you've already been on Broadway. You started HBO Max series. Now you're about to go on tour and release your debut album. So you got to back this up for me. I mean, how did you get here? Where are you from? How did you how did you get into entertainment?
Okay, so I'm from North Carolina.
Ooh,
yeah. So I grew up outside of Charlotte in Huntersville, and I lived there my whole life. And I just honestly was always, it sounds like very cliche, but like I do feel like I did come out of the womb like belting. And just
period.
singing.
Yes.
Yeah. I was a terror of a child. I was always like putting on shows and doing my little like cut to camera like interviews in the mirror about how like my ex-husband like had moved on to like a
come on, ex-husband that we ain't met yet.
Yeah, no, I was like 10 and I was like, well, the world is my stage. And so I just had kind of always been like super dramatic. And my parents knew that I loved to sing and that I just like idolized Beyonce. And so
yes.
yeah, and I grew up dancing and my mom did theater as a kid. So my mom was like, I'll put her in musical theater. And I did a production of Annie when I was 10 and I was like an added orphan. Which is a huge moment for my career. And then during a Saturday night show, my hamster died.
Girl, not the hamster.
The hamster, Hammy.
Not being adjacent.
No, yes. Like, it was not great. And so I got home from Annie, and I was like, well, I got to dedicate my career to my hamster. And now here I am. Not for real, but yeah.
Yeah, but for real. But honestly, that is the origin story. I'm here for it. And it's so cool you said your parents were in theater because my mom also did theater and musical theater.
Oh, really?
My dad as well. Yes.
Oh, shut up.
So I mean, how did you discover that you could even sing? Was it just like you just tried it, or did somebody? Because it's kind of hard to tell yourself you can sing. I know tons of people that sing and they're like, I can sing, and then when I hear them, I'm like, no, you can't. So how did you know that like, yo, I can actually sing for real?
To be honest, I just had like always been singing, and it wasn't that I thought I was super good. I just loved it so much. Like in high school, I remember like I used to like post like singing video. Well, I mean, used to. I still do now. Difference is it's just a little different, but
people know you now.
Yeah, now I just get like a couple more hate comments, which is totally fine for my ego. But I used to post these videos of me singing like on Twitter when I was a kid. And there were these like high school like seniors who like would talk so much shit about me on Twitter. And then at school when I was a freshman, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, this bitch." They absolutely were. And they're like, "Oh, this bitch thinks she can sing, she can't." So I honestly didn't think I was a good singer for a very long time, but I loved it, and I just like kept doing it. Like it hurt my feelings, but I was also like, I'm not just gonna not do it.
What sign are you?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay, it's giving ambitious. It's giving I'm staying to the course.
Yes.
She was letting
What's your sign?
know. I'm your perfect match. I'm a Virgo, babe. Your perfect match.
I love a Virgo. I love a Virgo. Virgos are so cute.
I love Capricorns too. My older sister, she's a Capricorn, so we are like intrinsically best friends. So yes, I'm here with the Capricorns for sure.
Okay, obsessed.
Well, I mean, you have to tell me about your journey into Mean Girls because obviously we all grew up on the iconic Mean Girls. I mean, the movie
Yeah.
was insane, and when they brought it to Broadway, I did see it.
Oh,
And I'm
I've seen it,
pretty
okay.
sure I did see you. So
cool.
I'm curious,
Yeah.
what was the process of auditioning for that and getting the role?
So I had graduated high school in I feel like July of 2018 or something. And I did actually graduate, like legally, like have the diploma and everything. Did it.
Wow.
Contrary
So
to
straight from
popular
high
fucking
school.
belief.
Straight from high
Yeah.
school into Broadway. It's giving LeBron James straight out of high school into the NBA. I'm living for it.
Listen, my dad, the only thing he knows how to compare my life to is like professional athletes. So he always
Period.
compares it to like going to the pros. He's like, yeah.
It
like, you know.
is.
And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. I'm not that tall, but works. But yeah, I started auditioning for Mean Girls in December or late November of 2018. And then got the job early-ish 2019, right after I moved to New York. And then I was just in that shit.
So, I mean, how was it? Because it's grueling. It 100% is the pros for being an entertainer. I mean, just from all the rehearsals to how many times you have to do it, to staying engaged in the show while it's going on and you're doing it for 4 months, 6 months, maybe even a year.
Bro.
So what was that like for you? Like, did you enjoy Broadway itself? I mean, you did musical theater, so I mean, you were somewhat used to it, but I mean, Broadway is still Broadway. So how was that workload?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different beast. It's a different beast. Have you done Broadway before?
I did,
Am I
yeah.
making this up?
I did.
I was gonna say, right?
I did it for about 4 months, and it was absolutely grueling. I mean, but it made me better. You know what I mean?
It is crazy. It is the most, like, mind you, I had like a princess track. So like I had the track where like you just literally like go on, show up, sing a little bit, walk off, take a break for 30 minutes, do the same shit, and then I'm done.
Okay.
Like in no way did I have a heavy lift compared to like our ensemble and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have never had a harder job mentally in my life.
Absolutely.
It is
absolutely
insane. It's insane. And it's such a skill. And I kudos to everybody who like does it. I loved it, but oh my God, that shit was so hard. I get like so antsy.
Yeah, I'm about to say, if you have like a high energy type of personality, one of the hardest things is even just staying engaged with doing the same thing every night. You know, it's so easy to kind of check out. Like I remember one time I checked out and forgot the whole damn Lovely Night. How do you forget Lovely Night? We all know a Lovely Night. Literally, I was I was like a robot in the performance because I had done it so many times. So it's definitely like you go to a little white room if you're not too careful.
No, it's crazy. I also was just like so anxious. And so nervous because I really just felt so not cut out for the job, and I was just like every day trying to prove it to myself that I like deserved to be there, and so I would get so fucking nervous, and I would just like white out and see like nothing, and then everybody who I was working with would be like, "Hello." And I'd be like, yeah, for sure, like back in. And then I just start like freestyling fucking lines, which is so incorrect.
But you made it though. I'm here for the improv and the quick, the quick-wittedness. So yeah, that's good. But okay, so this is the thing. There's singing, right? There's singing, and there's musical theater, there's Broadway, but then there's like music making. There's like, I'm also an artist and I want to put out my own music. I want to, like, did you always know that you wanted to put out your own music, or did that kind of develop over time? So you did.
No,
okay.
It was what I always wanted to do. I didn't think that I was ever going to act, to be honest.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. But not because I didn't want to. Like I had always dreamt of like, one day, like my like pipeline dream was like to do like Jennifer Aniston on like Friends or something. Like I was like, that would be so cool, but I don't feel cut out for that. And so when acting became like a kind of like gateway into music for me, I then like found a love for acting. But it's like it's always been music for me. And you were also, let's be clear, my entire childhood.
Girl, yes!
My entire childhood. True Jackson VP was will stand the test of time. Jump In will stand the test of time, bitch. It's unreal. Yes! You have a crazy, crazy voice.
Girl, thank you so much. I'm living for you.
Yes.
This is eating me up right now. Thank you for this love. I mean, I love you. When I
Please.
first saw you on Sex Life of College Girls, I was just kind of like, who is she? And I loved your character because I think
Thanks.
it's difficult a lot of times when people put queer characters in shows. Sometimes they make it super cliche or they overly play a violin, and it's like, just write a real damn person. You know what I mean? And I felt like it's like we don't need to be it doesn't need to be a superhero. We don't need it to be super sob story. Like, just let me live.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I love that your character on that show had a perspective that didn't feel like lazy. If that makes sense.
Man.
If it was just really, and you played the role really well, and I loved it. So to also get into the fact that, you know, you're not just you're just not talented in one thing, but you're multi-talented. It made me really excited for you because I know what it feels like to love many things and try to figure out how to balance it all. So how has that been?
Like, you do it in a way that appears so like effortless and like
It's definitely
seamless. And I know I think I know what you mean, because like I don't have any fucking balance in my life, in my fucking in anything. I feel incredibly off balance and kilter at most times. It is a seesaw and I am just holding on.
But no, seriously.
Yeah, but I, you know, right now I'm at the point where I just love it. So I don't even really care that it's not balanced.
Taking you over. Yeah, taking you over. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that's real passion is what you're talking about.
It is. And I think eventually it'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to think. I need to be very thoughtful about everything I do. But right now I just feel so like hungry and excited, and I like want it so bad that I just love it. So I don't really
say keep following that. I say keep following, because I know exactly that feeling you're talking about, and it can get really scary, and it also can maybe sometimes scare even the people around you, because you kind of start compartmentalizing everything because your main focus and what just keeps it doesn't mean you don't love all the other things, but it's just like it's just true passion. So sometimes it will take you over, but then there'll be periods where you're like, okay, maybe I'm chill, and when that comes, you'll know. But right now, if you're feeling it, like, girl, that is the blessed place to be. Like, in I mean, how does that play into Snow Angel? Obviously, your debut album. Talk to me about how all of this emotion plays into some of the themes on this project. Like, what can we expect? What are you talking about? Even personally, like, you know, what's it? You telling me it's about your love life? Like, what is it? What's the tea?
I mean, I think it's kind of about everything in my life, but I think that like what's special to me about this album, obviously, is my first, and it feels like my child, and like, you know how it feels to like do music.
Oh my
like,
gosh,
that shit is so vulnerable and exciting and very scary. But I'm 23, and I feel like in the last year, I have at least done my best to try and not like beat myself up so much. And that's not to say that I don't, but like I spent a lot of my life criticizing myself for my feelings and how I handled situations, and I'm now getting to the point where I'm able to like process things and let it slide off a little bit and be like, okay, I either fucked up here or I did a great job here, and that's okay, no matter what. And so I think that this album as a collective is that attitude toward every situation. So I think it's much more honest.
A lot of self-acceptance too is what I'm hearing. And I live for the Snow Angel, you know, like when you're saying that and you're talking to me about that, I feel that, right? Because Snow Angel, when I'm hearing that, I'm feeling like there's something that feels nostalgic, there's something that feels warm, and there's something that feels content.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's like it feels like my little like coming of age thing. And again, like, it doesn't mean that, I think like a lot of the things that I write about are how I feel. It doesn't mean that I'm proud of those feelings. It doesn't mean that I like back that feeling 100%. But those are how I feel. So I think it's just a very raw version of that, I hope. So
what's your favorite song, if you have one? I mean, I know that's probably difficult because you probably have one for every mood, but
I do have one for every mood. I mean, I think ultimately my favorite, like the one that has like the most like special little like place in my heart, is Willow. I love it. It was Willow's like a song that I feel like I've wanted to write for a really long time. Frank Ocean is like my everything and more. Yeah,
so good, girl.
He's
it's like
my,
too good.
Bro, he's my child's father. Like I love
Period.
him.
Okay, baby daddy.
I love him so much, and he's been my favorite for years and years and years. But I think that he is the most like intelligent human being alive. And his songwriting and phrasing is so hyper specific that it's almost confusing.
Yes.
And I consume different music than what I make. So I always am like really conscious of trying to like take the artist that I love and like make it my little like flavor or spice or whatever and put it into a song. And I feel like for me, at least, even if it's not received that way, for me, I processed it as that in Willow.
Yeah, but I love what you said with that, because I think that that's important, and there's no artist and no creative on the planet that's gonna really not have any influence. But the key to me of what you just said was that yes, you have influences, but it's totally you are being honest in your perspective of what it is that you're being influenced by.
Yes,
and I
exactly.
love that. That's how you come up with something that is original and unique to you, because that's what you consumed that helped you to create something totally new. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I love that so much. Like when I look at Michael Jackson, I don't see James Brown, but that's what he consumed.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
You know
No, 100%, which is like the greatest thing about like artistry. And also, let's be clear, if I could make music like Frank Ocean, I fucking would, but I can't. So I won't.
Yeah, it's Frank. Nobody can. I mean, I remember even when Frank Ocean was doing more writing than music, and the producers, a lot of people that he worked with would say how he would try to do demos and give them to other people, but he ended up just having to be his own artist because other people couldn't sing his songs because it was really all just Frank. So it's quite insane. Unique. Yeah,
he's so incredible. He's so incredible and so fucking smart. I love a smart writer. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, yes. So how do you start writing a song? Like, what is your creative process? Does it start with a melody? Does it start with the theme? I mean, do you even start with music?
Not really.
Meaning music, like obviously like a beat or something.
Yeah, no, I don't. I used to when I was younger. I think now pretty much what I do or end up doing is I will like think of like a phrase or a situation, and I'll just like ramble a little bit in my notes app. Go through all my notes app apologies, and then find a little share one, and and then I will just like kind of go from there. Like for example, like tummy hurts. Tummy hurts started because I wrote down like my tummy hurts. He's in love with her, and I thought it was yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
that is like a tummy hurt.
Yeah,
like at that point, your stomach is on 10.
No,
like
done.
No, he's in love with her. Like bitch, no, boom, dead.
Correct. Exactly. And I was like, this is cool because it's like a childish, not a childish, but more like a childlike thing to say.
Innocent.
Like, oh, my tummy hurts.
It's so innocent and raw.
Yes. And then the like he's in love with her is this like mature like thing that happens later in life. So usually it happens because I'll write something like that and then I'll be like, oh, okay, here we go. And then we'll find music and just dive in. But it always starts
There's
with
such a cuntness there to it, too. It's also so there's such this undercore of like it's giving cunt.
Oh, very cunt.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
Okay, but now we're gonna get a little deep. What scares you? I mean, I know that jumps out. Like, I mean, I took a sharp turn.
I'm obsessed.
What scares you?
Everything. I think my biggest fear in the whole wide world is failure. Has always been.
And wait, what do you define as failure, right? Because I feel the same way. Failure is my deepest, but what I view as failure is just like not growing and not evolving, like not being able to continue to better myself. So what is your idea of failure?
Okay, well that is a good answer.
It's a new fear unlocked.
That's a great answer. Mine is honestly a bit more shallow than that. Mine is genuinely that like I am just not doing well in music. That is my biggest fear, and I've had it even before I started doing music. Like I used to make all these crazy like I don't know if you would call it like goals, but like I'd be like, okay, if I don't achieve this by the time I'm 22, then I'm done.
Of course.
Like, of course, you know. So mine is like such a work thing.
Yeah, but I mean
which sucks.
that's extremely real, and I mean I think that's a big
Yeah.
part of why artists like what's so like what makes it so hard as a creative
Yeah.
sometimes, and to figure out where you want to fall in that, because there are so many
Yes.
different metrics that tell you are successful in music. Like, is it
Yes.
I need an arena? Do I need to have my concert sold out? Do people need to be
Right.
singing my songs a million times? Do I need to go gold? Do I need to go platinum? Like, so
Yes.
many people have different ideas of what is being successful in music, and it is hard to
Totally.
figure out what are other people's ideas and what it actually is for you. So I don't know, what is it for you? What for you is success in music? Like, is it a sold out arena? Do you want to be a big world touring artist? Do you want to do festivals? Do you just want to sell a bunch of albums? Like, what does that feel for you?
To be honest, I keep saying different things and feeling different ways, which kind of just like feeds into the fear of like I just want to be proud of myself.
Come on now. Yes.
Yeah, and I really struggle to feel proud of myself or to enjoy things that I do, because I feel like, like when you work with like
I
an
do know
incredible,
for sure.
yeah, like you work with an incredible.
I feel
group of
everything you're
people.
saying.
Yes, full like, and it's not that anybody's like blowing smoke up your ass, but like anytime that anybody says like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you, I'm so excited," my immediate reaction, like my manager Adam told me something this morning that like might happen and might be exciting, and I was like, "Cool, well that's gonna happen to 5 other albums the rest of this year." That was
Right.
my first reaction, and I know that I'm aware that comes from a place of like deep rooted insecurity and something that I
personally feel like I feel like you're such a first of all, I love this conversation because I feel like you being so, just being straight up. You know what I'm saying? You being very authentic. You saying exactly what it what you feel, and I think a lot of people feel that same damn way. And it just sounds like a little bit of imposter syndrome, which
Fully.
I think we all have, because I feel like, first of all, if you don't have imposter syndrome, are you just like an extremely confident person? Like, no one relates to you.
Or just a fucking narcissist. I'm like, how are you?
How are you
what?
always good? Like, I feel like you're confident and I feel like I'm confident, but I feel like the confidence is coming from a place of like absolute awareness of where we fall short. You know what I mean? It's like,
but that's also in like such the way, again, like I grew up with you. Basically, right? Like, so that's honestly, it sounds so cliche and so stupid, but like that's such a testament to like how you and like people in like our like generation and people that I've looked up to carry themselves, because you are unrealistically talented, but are come across and are, now that I'm talking to you, the sweetest and very humble and super aware. But that's just a testament to like that's just who you are. And that's just like what you bleed out, So,
I think for me, it's like a little bit of what you're saying, which is probably, I don't know if it's like, if we're like secretly masochistic or whatever you call it, but I think that's like probably what we feed on as artists, right? It's like, it's what makes us creative. It's like,
100%.
I gotta bleed, baby. I gotta bleed. I gotta be real.
God.
I gotta let it out, because if not, then like, what the fuck am I writing about and what am I acting? Like, what am I performing if I'm not performing humanity? And humanity is like the drama mask and the sad mask. Like, we have to give you all the emotions.
Insane. It's also like whenever I like go through something bad, or if I think something bad is gonna happen, I get so excited. I get so excited. When I went through a really tough breakup, I literally, the first person I called was my manager, and I was like, "This is gonna be the best year of my life." He's like, "Are you fine?" And I was like, "No," but I was like, "Fuck that man." But also like, I'm about to be
literally, I'm about to be up. Like, you just gave me so much content. Like, don't play with me. But it's true, because feelings, what you're talking about is feelings, and it's like, you know what, if I'm having, whether it's extremely happy feelings, sad, melancholic, nostalgic, whatever it is, I'm going to pull from it. Where do you get your work ethic from? Are your parents really like fierce hard workers?
Yes.
I mean, coming from North Carolina, I'm sure.
I mean, grew up in a household where like my parents referred to school as my job.
Period. They say go to work.
Yeah. So any day that I would be like, I'm not doing da 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 da, they'd be like, okay, cool. So you don't care about your success, well-being, work ethic. You don't care to go to school, which is your job, which is your only job right now. That's all you have to do in this life.
I was like,
yeah. It was it was something.
They made you very disciplined. So you do have a very
super.
I
And
love that.
I was not like a good student either. Like it wasn't coming from a place of they were like, make sure you get straight A's and get in the honor society. It was like, please fucking graduate high school for God's.
They were like, just show up, okay?
Yes.
Show the hell up.
Yes. But yeah, I think so. They're both really hard workers. Honestly, almost to a fault. I've seen my parents like work themselves under a fucking table.
The American way.
Yeah. Woohoo. So, you know, sometimes I'm really glad that I have that drive, and other times it will run me into the ground.
Period.
Yeah.
Girl, I'm right there with you, where I'm like, I love that I can just go get it. Then I'm like, oh shit, I'm sick and I'm dead to the bed. What? How the hell did I get here? Oh, I didn't have any days off in the last 42 days. Like it's crazy. It's I mean, I do think it's our culture though. Like I do think like it's America. Like, you know what I mean? That we have so much guilt attached to resting, and I hate that for us, girl. We got to go to Europe for some years after we make some money over here.
No, actually, yeah. And it's also so weird whenever I like talk about it, because I feel like it's a thing of like I'm very aware of it, yet I don't like apply it to my life, and so I always feel like such a hypocrite when I'm like, God, this like must work culture is so crazy, and is also detrimental to society in so many different ways.
It is.
But yeah, it's so weird. It's something.
But then you sit back and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky because I get to do what I love. Yes. You know, and then him comes the Britney Spears "She's So Lucky" song, and then you feel bad for feeling bad about your it's just a recurring cycle.
She's so lucky. She's a star.
Oh my gosh! But she cries in the lonely.
Yes.
Girl, do not take me back to Britney. She gave us everything she had, and people still weren't happy. Like,
no,
I hate the world.
I
go.
Hate anytime I see like men. Well, doing anything, but anytime I see like men like criticizing like Britney Spears, like somebody who's like an iconic pop star like that, women too.
It's like, please sit.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Like who the hell? Come on, bro. Not my girl. Girl. Also, we don't have many pop stars, and she's the one.
You could never hold a fucking snake topless. You could never do that.
Come on, you would be scared to just chomp at your damn nipple. Anyway,
exactly.
So you worked with, first of all, you worked with Mindy Kaling. I love Mindy Kaling. Also, Tina Fey. Yes. I mean, what was it like working with them? And also, like, who are some women in music that you'd want to work with?
Oh my god, this is my favorite. Well, I've been very fortunate in like the like comedy world to work with like some pretty sick fucking people.
Absolutely. And you're funny too.
Yeah. Oh,
like in this conversation, you've been cracking me up. Yeah.
Oh my god, thanks. Well, you're like the queen of being hilarious and sexy at the same time. So
girl, stop it. Yes.
No, it's very true. You've always been and will always be the topic of conversation. Like, it is outrageous. It is outrageous.
I cannot.
Yeah, no, I'm being so serious.
All right, Renee. Well, before you go, because obviously this conversation has been, it's been taking me there, okay? We've been going there with it. And on the podcast, we always like to, end everything with a little fun game. And today we're going to play Quickies with Keke, okay? I'm going to give you 5 rapid-fire style questions, and you got to answer as quickly as you can. Are you ready?
I'm very excited.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, I think I already know what the answer to this is going to be, but I'm still going to ask. Who would you rather have dinner with, Frank Ocean or Mark Cuban? Mark Cuban is so random.
No, it's not random. I love Mark Cuban. He's so daddy. Well, Frank Ocean. I would rather have dinner with Frank Ocean, but Mark Cuban could take me on a fucking vacation.
Okay, because he's paid. Okay.
Yes.
Number 2, you have to eliminate one from your life. Broadway, film, or music. Which one are you eliminating?
Okay, so I'm going to get eaten alive for this, but that's because it would be Broadway. I would eliminate, but I could do a musical movie.
Exactly. Like, that's the reason why, because it's not, you could find a way to do Broadway in film.
Yes.
So it's like, that was like the most. Yes. that's still
Yeah.
getting like your cake and eating it too.
I'll get
Okay.
a loophole.
Who would you rather collaborate with? And this is like completely unfair because I'm sure you'd want to collaborate with both, but they're
Fun.
selling out their arenas right now, so I have to say Beyonce or Taylor Swift.
Beyonce. I mean, I love Taylor
Period.
Swift, but Beyonce is like.
But you
my
started this
everything.
conversation about Beyonce being your girl, so I already know. I mean, Beyonce is always going to be the answer for anybody. So
Yes.
it's like, you know what I mean?
It could be like Beyonce or God, and I'm going Beyonce. it has nothing to do with
Not the
mother.
Lord, Miss Lady. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you name this era of your life?
Sexy.
Love it. You are definitely giving me sexy. This whole
Thanks.
conversation. I just felt, like I said, I'm getting like light cunts airs.
Yes,
It's just
yes,
like
yes, yes.
very, it's like, yes, it's very fierce, but it's like I'm laid back and fierce. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Which gives you more of a rush, performing on Broadway or on tour? I know the answer to this.
I mean,
on tour, they're singing your music. I mean, yeah, because like you're going to be hearing your music back. Like, who doesn't? Like, that's everything.
Yeah, it's really cool. I also like, I've only done like one musical on Broadway. I think like if I was doing something where I had to like, have like Viola Davis like snot on my face, it might be Broadway. But like
Come on, Viola
use
Snot.
that.
Viola
Yeah.
Snot is like always the best supporting role.
It's
Like
it's
that role
unreal.
of that snot is just like it's so there. You know
It's
what I mean?
hot. It's hot.
It's definitely yes.
It's hot.
Okay, last but not least, which
Yeah.
part of your zodiac chart do you relate to the most? Capricorn Sun, Gemini Rising, or Pisces Moon? Yes, we did our research.
I feel like I relate to most of my Gemini rising. I mean, I'm such a true Pisces moon, but I feel
Aw.
I feel very indecisive, and I feel very like aggressive and then super sweet. And I just cannot decide what I want to give. And usually it's both. Like last night I was out and these like bouncers were being super homophobic.
Oh, fuck
And
no.
yeah, and so I was like, I said to my girlfriend, I was like, put your tongue down my throat right now. Like,
Exactly.
And then I was like screaming at the bouncers. I was like, fuck you. Da, da, da. And then I turned around and I was like, okay, you guys ready to go? Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah.
that's the kind of energy I live for.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
It's just giving very much boss, diva, chilling.
Yes.
Gal. But if you're a
Yes,
cool guy, we
yes,
can
yes,
too.
yes, yes,
Like,
yes.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Well, Renee, you're amazing. I'm so happy
You
I got to talk
too.
with you. Congratulations
Same.
on Snow Angel coming out this month. That's huge.
Thanks,
And I know
man.
everybody's going to love it. Also, you just hung out with my boo, Terrell. Did you have a good time on the show?
Well, first of all, I'm like such a fan of his.
Isn't
and
he
have been
everything?
watching his videos for fucking ever, and I'm so
Ugh.
obsessed with him. He is
I know.
so goddamn funny, and it was also so much fun. I've never felt cooler in my life.
Yeah, he's everything. So I was glad when I saw you on there. I was like, I'm so glad I get to talk to her too. It's going to be a good little combo. So that was great.
Thanks, man.
Congrats again, babe.
Thanks, dude. You too.
As always, thanks for listening and hanging out. I gotta go now, but I'll be back next week. Until then, it's your girl.
Baby, this is Keke.